You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast. Good evening. Welcome to episode 5 of Pointing Pointers. I'm not only joined by Sam Davies-Thomas back from the Christmas break, I'm pleased to say our long-suffering producer, Stephanie Jones, joins us. Steph, how are you getting on?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you? Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, it was great, thank you. Yeah, thanks for asking, and Happy New Year to you both. Sam, have you got any New Year's resolutions?
I'm actually going to get myself a ring light because I'm amazed how well it makes people look. Any professions, Ben, or
No?
no?
No.
You look great anyway. It's a nice lighting you've got there anyway.
We're going to press on. And speaking of pressing, we need you to all press the little bell on the right-hand side of your screen and subscribe, which means that when a video goes online, you'll be notified and you can watch it straight away. If you're still listening to the podcast, which many of you are, then you don't need to do that. But you can also subscribe within Spotify or whatever it is that you listen to us on. It helps to make sure you know that when we are sometimes slightly erratic and fall out of sync with our bi-weekly show, not our bi-weekly, Sam, twice fortnightly.
That's better for us. Yeah. People like me. Yes, thanks. I'm absolutely hopefully people will start listening to this episode again after the awful jokes you've put everyone through last time. But here we go.
Yeah, in fact, actually, you just reminded me, I need to text him back. Jake Exelby actually texted me to tell me that the jokes were terrible. Jake, if you're listening, thanks very much for the encouragement. So,
hang on. Before you go any further, what's your New Year's resolution, Ben?
My New Year's resolution is to get better at presenting this podcast.
Oh, God, thanks for that.
And there's nothing you can say as a comeback to that.
No, it's fine. I've already booked you in for some training with Nicola.
Oh, great.
Oh, what?
He doesn't know about it yet, but we will.
Thanks, Steph. You're the best. So a huge shout out to Redmills and Foran, sponsors of the Trainers Championship, and also partners with this podcast, who very kindly actually popped to the yard after our little mention of Georgia on the last show. She popped down to the yard, gave me a bottle of whiskey, gave everyone a hat or two, and some chocolates. So that was great. Speaking of championships, I think James King is running away with this title slightly. Tam, you're going to stick up for your friends and say that Tom and Gina have got plenty of good ones to run, and I would believe you. But James is getting a pretty healthy lead, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and obviously he's still got Luke's horses still to come. So Max is obviously a big supporter of his. He's got plenty of ammunition as well. So I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't disagree with you completely. I think he's got a good start, and he's got obviously plenty more to come as well.
So since the last podcast, a lot's happened, and I'm delighted to say we've got lots of voice notes from around the country this week. I was catching it with lots of people about runners that have happened and runners that are going to happen this coming weekend. So unfortunately, we started off with an abandoned Chaddesley Corbett. And Sam, I was about 2 millimetres from flooding at home last night in a very flat Lincolnshire. It's not looking good, is it, out there? And you can see some more abandonments becoming more commonplace.
Yeah, it's not great at the minute, to be fair. It does seem to be drying up now, so hopefully, we can get some racing going. Obviously, Under Rules is struggling a bit this week. Hereford somehow passed the inspection, but that's only just down the road from me, and we're pretty much underwater here. So, but no, hopefully we can get going again.
And we've been racing at Larkhill. Many would consider that to be one of the premier venues in the country, Sam, and it was rewarded with crowd sizes of 2,000 plus. And I believe you spoke to Chris Barber about famous Claremont's return.
Yeah, I did. I spoke to Chris about that return, which looked underwhelming to everyone's eye. But I think once you listen to Chris, you'll kind of understand why. And obviously, he then finished off the meeting with the winner in the maiden with a horse he quite likes quite a lot. So should we have a quick listen to what he had to say?
Yeah, let's do that.
Delighted to be joined by Chris Barber. Thanks for joining us, Chris, on Pointing Pointers. Famous Claremont ran at the weekend at Larkhill and finished third on his seasonal reappearance, a horse that provided you with great success last year. in the Aintree Fox Hunters. Can you give our listeners the verdict from Will and your verdict on his run at the weekend?
Hi Sam, great to be back, great to get him back on the track. Obviously last year we didn't really have Cheltenham or Aintree on our minds until that performance at Wincanton, so I went into the season to Larkhill very much ready for his first run, whereas this year we sort of worked our way back from Aintree, and I wanted to leave him quite short his first run, because I think arguably his best performance, some people might think I'm mad, was Wincanton. To sort of headbutt every fence and still be running away 2 out is probably because I've actually peaked him a little bit too soon, so I was very conscious this year of not wanting to do that. That being said, me thinking I was leaving him a little bit short, the trainer really got it wrong and left him very short, so he'll probably go back to Larkhill maybe in 3 weeks or Wincanton, but very much still on course for Aintree, and he's come out of the race well, he's bouncing, so no, very much the trainer's fault, but with sort of longevity of the season and very much Aintree in mind.
That's very honest of you. Not many people would be admitting that, but that's very honest of you. And it's a horse you know well, so hopefully you can get him right on the big day, and we look forward to seeing him in 3 weeks' time. You ended the day with a winner. Can you tell us a bit more about him in the maiden? And have you got a couple of entries I see at the weekend at Wadebridge? Are they likely to run? And is there anything that we should be keeping an eye out for in the coming weeks?
Yeah, Wolf Walker is a horse we like a lot, awful lot. He was on Ed Bailey's radar for a long time. He's done everything right at home. I'm extremely excited about him. I think he's probably our next up and coming star, hopefully, if everything progresses, because he's not the easiest, and Jamie Thomas done a brilliant job with him. I think that's probably why he gets on well with the horse, because they're both not quite right. And Will gave him a fantastic ride as well, because he looked jumping the first like he was going to be gone, and he managed to get him back, and he jumped and travelled and looked like the horse we thought he was. A couple of entries this weekend, Jingle de Gouet and one upmanship for Jack in the yard, but I think both of them will be struggling because they both want probably better ground. It was more of a chancy entry than anything else, so they'll probably wait for better ground. Jingle de Gouet is a nice horse, just got found out for a bit of experience the first day. And a couple of nice ones coming up hopefully in the next few weeks. Actually, funnily enough, we bought in Wolf Walker's last race, we bought 3 horses out of that race in Ireland, Summer Jam and All Star Boy, and they both all go very nicely, so they'll hopefully be out in the next couple of weeks. Now Wolf Walker's gone and done that, hopefully these two shouldn't be too far away either.
So it's fair to say Chris Barber is a very established trainer now. And we do like to highlight people that are starting to get a name for themselves and starting a business venture of their own. And we've caught up this week with Justin Brotherton, who's helped by his wife Abby, and with a setup not too far from you actually, Sam, doing some breakers and pre-trainers and training. They've got 5 pointers, as you'll hear. And so I spoke to Justin to find out about his win with Horizon Dene at Larkhill. Justin Brotherton, you must be over the moon that Horizon Dene got off the mark for you on the 10th of December, and further delighted that he's then gone and backed it up, winning the restricted at Larkhill for you on the 31st, New Year's Eve. Could you tell us a little bit about the horse and what you plan to do with him next?
Horizon Dene, we got him at the end of March last year. After a poor run at Warwick for Dan Skelton, we got him privately. I don't think he was living up to expectations, but I saw he had some good form as a hurdler, and he was really nicely bred, really good looking individual, and fair play to the Skeltons, they said he'd probably thrive in a smaller setup. So we ran him at Dingley at the end of last season, and then put him away for a short break, and out of the box we actually ran him in the town plate at Newmarket, and my wife rode him. He finished 7th, and he probably did him good. Sort of kept him fit for the start of this point in the season, even though we gave him a little break in between. I thought he'd win it Badbury Rings, but probably didn't have him fit in the first time because he's quite soft and you can't really be hard on him at home. That's probably why he didn't suit the Skeltons, I'd say. but he come on loads for the run, and we were happy with him when he won his maiden. And he came out of the race really fresh and well. That's why we got him out quite quickly again. And I think he's improved because the race wasn't run to his liking, I'd say. Slow pace, and he's had to take it up quite early. I think he's a hold-up horse, and he's better passing horses, to be honest with you. So yeah, absolutely over the moon. I'd say he's got a bit of class about him. And the next plan, we haven't thought that far. The dream was to just win a race with him, so he's already exceeded his expectations. But I think we'll probably try and win a restricted with his penalty, or be thereabouts, and then maybe qualify for one of the decent finals at Exeter or even Cheltenham. I suppose dream big. But yeah, we won't get too carried away. If he's showing good enough, we'll take a chance.
So for anyone unfamiliar with you, obviously you used to ride in Point to Points back in 2016, your last ride, and a bit of a hiatus, and then back training a few with a small number of horses, but some really good results on the board so far. Could you tell us how many you've got in, what the plan is going forward, and what this year might look like for you?
About myself, yeah. I owned a horse myself called Gold Duster, which I rode in Points, just to get a feel of it, really. I never had any ambition to ride, but I enjoyed the science of like training them and and doing other disciplines. But yeah, I thought I'd have a go, so I had to go on him. And then I was lucky enough, my ex-boss David Bridgewater had a horse called Accord, and he let me take my chance pointing on him, and he was second. And then I was lucky enough to win twice on him in 2019. So the plan was always to sort of start up a business of my own. So we rented a yard down near Broadway, and we do breakers, pre-trainers, and all sorts, and now pointers. We've got about 5 pointers in, including the Rising Danae, along with a few pre-trainers, breakers, and rehab horses. And it's all going well. I think we've been going for about 18 months now, and Rising Danae is the first winner. Oh yeah, I got to mention the jockey. I forgot to add that. So yeah, Toby has helped us loads since we set up. He comes down and does plenty schooling the novices and maidens, and he's bonded particularly well with this horse, Rising Danae. I had an idea that he'd suit him because, as well as a top jockey, I think he's a horseman, and yeah, he's good at getting inside their head, I'd say. Yeah, he's been the making of this horse, to be honest, and he used his initiative in the last run because him being an older horse and all that, he's realised it was a slow pace, but he thought there was enough petrol in the tank to get home. That's why he pressed on about 5 out. Yeah, so I'd love to give him a mention. And yeah, and also I'd like to mention, I was born and bred into a racing family. My mum and dad run a small yard, Roy Brotherton. They had dual purpose horses, never more than sort of 20, but they did well with them. And yeah, it all went a bit quiet in 2016, so I went off to ride out for Sam Drinkwater, and then ended up at David Bridgewater's. So yeah, thank you.
So, Steph, you were down at Lark Hill, and behind the camera, as you often are, an unsung hero, really, Steph, in many regards, I feel. And I believe that you spoke to Freddie Philipson-Stow.
Yeah, I was with Charlie Post as our roaming reporter, and we caught up with him after his win in the conditions.
The level 3 conditions race for novice riders at Lark Hill was won by a jet of our own, ridden by Fred Philipson-Stow. And Fred, that's your 4th winner, I think?
Yeah, 4th winner.
And you rode the horse at Chadsey Corbett in a decent novice riders there, finished second to everything now, ran a lovely race, seasonal debut.
Yeah.
Is he stepped forward for that?
Oh, massively, yeah, I think so. I think the best ground probably helped him out to stay as well. But he's come on so much from that as well, and also from last season. He's really come into his own a bit, I think, recently.
I interviewed you at the PPORA awards lunch at Stratford. I think you won an area title. You said then...
I think, no, you interviewed Dad, I think.
Was it your dad?
Yeah.
Sorry, and your dad said that you were going to work for Will Biddick.
Yes.
Are you still there, or have you had enough of it?
No, still there, for the time being at least.
And being with Will, what's that help with your riding?
Oh, just everything, I think. Riding at home just has made me a lot stronger of a rider, I think. Riding at home has been much improved. Race riding as well, he's helped me a lot with that.
So he taught you a lot about race riding tactics and whatever else?
Just also how to ride, really, like how to use yourself when you're on a horse, and just all things that I've never really been told straight out specifically to do.
And a track like this actually isn't straightforward. What words of advice would Will have given you about riding around here?
Just make sure you get a breather into them for the hill, because that can definitely spread you all out a bit, can't it?
Well, yeah, without doubt. I mean, like, it's a bit of a relentless track, isn't it? Real long circuits.
So you're always on doing something.
And plans for a Jet of Our Own. He's a really progressive horse. Won his last 3 starts last season. Now a level 3 conditions winner again. Where's he going to go?
That's up to the trainer in the end. If decide I'm just a man on the horse when it comes to racing.
And just quickly talk to us a bit about Matt and Nicky. Where's the connection there?
I've known Matt and Nicky forever, and Dad worked for them actually when he was in his 20s. He was riding out for them, and it's the first place I ever rode a racehorse when I was 14, and that was just obvious where to start. And they helped me so much just getting to grips with riding a racehorse. I think it's been invaluable. It's been really helpful, and without that, it probably wouldn't have happened at all.
Brilliant. And for yourself, what's the goal?
I think I'd like to be a successful amateur jockey. I think because I think I'm too heavy to go professional.
So some hunter chasing?
Hunter chasing, yeah. I'd like to be able to ride for as long as I possibly can.
And could this horse do that?
I think so. I'd like to think so.
And just quickly to finish for the podcast, what is it that you love about pointer pointing?
I think it's the atmosphere. It's a brilliant day out, whether you're riding, leading up, or you've just come for the sport.
Something for everyone.
Yeah, it's just and everyone's so happy and welcoming. It's just a brilliant atmosphere, isn't it?
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. Fred, well done.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Brilliant. Well done, mate.
So that's a couple of talented young jockeys that are coming out of the Biddick setup, and we spoke to a couple of them on our channel and socials the last couple of weeks. So Will's clearly doing a good job of passing some of that information on, and Will, of course, won a race himself down at Larkhill on Wolf Walker, bought by Ed Bailey. And Ed actually had a treble on the 31st of horses across Larkhill and Horseheath. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to speak to a bloodstock agent about what their role is in the pointing scene. So I'm delighted to say I'm joined by bloodstock agent Ed Bailey. Ed, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much, Ben. Yeah, all as well. Thank you. All good. Good to be on.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. I know anecdotally you're a listener to the podcast, so we appreciate your support. And I saw on Instagram the other day that you'd had a treble of winners. And when I say that, obviously people have heard of riding a treble of winners or training or owning, but it's quite nice for in your position for a bloodstock agent to have bought 3 winners on the day on New Year's Eve. So a cracking way for you to finish off the year.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. It was a really, really good day. I thought we had a good team of horses running, and it was nice to see a few of them get their head in front. So great. Yeah, as you said, a great way to round off the year, really. Yeah.
So I just thought we'd talk through them if that's all right. So you had a Jet of Our Own go in the novice riders. Actually, it was a pretty cool ride that. I've just been watching the replays going through it all, and you could say pinch that race, but was probably value for the winning margin, really.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Tara Storm is a serious horse, and when they appeared, it was horrible weather. When they appeared back into sight, it looked like Tara Storm and Flanagan were running away with it. But Fred was very canny and very patient, probably very well educated by his employer, and and nipped up the inner to time it to perfection after the last. It was a great ride, to be fair. So very much enjoyed by all the team, and the shepherds trained by Nikki Shepherd and her husband Matt. Their horses are absolutely flying at the minute, so it was really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll just keep with Larkhill for a minute. You then had a really nice winner of the maiden, first time out in England which we'll discuss in a minute, for Chris Barber in Wolf Walker.
Yeah, really, really pleasing result. He hasn't been over in England for very long, but it's great for Robert Fear and Andrew Ham. Absolutely delighted for them. They're very supportive of Chris and Will, and it was great to give them a winner.
Yeah, and then another maiden winner for Alan Hill, ridden by Dale Peters, who's in great form, to be fair to him, winning the maiden at Horsey in Paul Manatee. I was looking at the breeding of this horse beforehand. I thought about Jen up speaking to you, and it's obviously by Manatee out of a horse called Pauline, which I was thinking was a pretty genius, pretty great name for a horse. Anyway, so yeah, Paul Manatee won the maiden at Horsey. Tell us a bit about that one, if you would.
Yeah, it was really pleasing. Graham Henderson's a very supportive owner of the Hills, and we're absolutely thrilled. We've liked this horse for a while, actually. Again, one we tried to buy him in Arcana as a yearling, and then he reappeared in Doncaster, consigned by Hannah Mann at Outhill Farm, and Joe and I really liked him there, and we bought him for Graham, and he ran really well last year. First time out, admittedly, he learned a lot from the occasion, and he was a lot sharper on Sunday, and it was really pleasing for him to show what we knew he had. So great effort by all the team at Woodway Farm, really.
Yeah, fantastic. And you've given the game away slightly, because we were just having a quick chat off air there, and you said that you really liked. You can cut that one, Steph. And you said that you really liked Wolf Walker as a foal, and again, you've just mentioned Paul Manatee. You've seen him as a yearling, and so it's quite an interesting point there, because you're clearly seeing something in the physical at that stage, which is translating into form, or is it based on are you bringing pedigree factors into it at that early stage as well?
Try and work as hard as we can at the foal sales and store sales, looking at as many horses as possible and following them through their careers. And actually, Paul Manatee, we actually bought his brother in Arcana this summer as well as a 2-year-old, just because we really liked him. So we're always sort of trying to be eagle-eyed for opportunities with younger horses. But yeah, pedigree does play a big part in it, and also just assessing them as physicals as young horses, really. We're always keeping our eyes peeled.
Well, you're clearly not doing a bad job, Ed, and you've had a good number of winners under rules as well this last year. I think you closed out the year on 73 winners, something like that. Or
Really good, really pleased with that.
I don't know. I can remember numbers like that and not remember what I've had for lunch, but there we go. And just going back to Wolf Walker quickly, I just wanted to ask, your honest opinion on something there. You could say, looking at the bare form and the bare result, and perhaps that's where I'm going wrong. But looking at the bare result, he had pretty moderate form in Ireland, and then has come and won on the bridle in England. Should we be worried?
No, I think it's a perfectly fair question, and the bare facts of it is their maidens are better than ours. History, all the stats show it. They're banging a lot more Cheltenham Festival winners than we are, but it is important to note that a lot of our very good meetings and tracks do stand good races, and I think we'd stand their own in a. A handful of our 4-year-olds would be pretty competitive over there. But they, one of our maidens, a 4-year-old maiden over here, might have 3 or 4 horses rated. They were bought for sort of 30 or 40 grand as a store, which is quite a lot of money to us. But over there, the entries this weekend, Ballindennis and Tinahely, there's horses that cost 200 grand as stores and 120 grand as stores. It's just
playing at higher stakes is what you're saying.
Yeah, essentially. But Wolf Walker, when you look at his form, it's not that exciting. But actually, Punchestown first time out over 2.5 miles on good ground. He was third, only beaten 7 lengths. And we thought if we can get him back to that level, he'd take quite a lot of beating over 2.5 at Larkhill. So the trip's played the biggest part there. Definitely, yeah. I mean, he's a horse that's got a big reputation over there, and Donacador trained him most recently when he pulled up behind Kishbank. He went and won a bumper. We actually bought 3 horses that pulled up in that race. They're all at Chris's. So we're always
he does well with a
angles.
headbanger. He does do well with a headbanger.
Yeah, no, I mean, they just went a relentless gallop over 3 miles on soft ground and he didn't get home. And at Larkhill, Will did an unbelievable job to settle him. He was very keen over the first 2 and Will managed to work absolute magic on his back and he got the job done. And actually, Chris does a great job with horses like that we're always trying to buy a big backward 4-year-old from Irish Point to Points that just need a little bit of time, perhaps, that haven't done it on the day, but they're still a scopy model. And it's great to buy off someone like Colombo or Donacador that are always starting with the right product. They've always got the nice models that you want. And, if you had a horse under rules, a big, gorgeous horse, you wouldn't expect it to run as a spring 4-year-old. So, anything they're doing at that stage is a bonus in our eyes. And Chris has got some good riders there. Jamie Thomas does a great job on some keen ones. And it seems to be working so far.
Good stuff, Ed. How do people get in touch with you if they want to talk to you about buying them a winning pointer?
I'm always free to talk to anyone. But yeah, drop us a message or whatever. Come and talk to me.
Good stuff. I think that Will Biddick's a jockey to look forward to going forward. Maybe someday he'll win a championship, but he definitely gave Wolf Walker a very good ride. Ed, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll no doubt hopefully speak to you again this season.
Will did say he's been watching a lot of Sam's replays, and he's up on a few things recently, so learning a few Sam Davies Thomas skills.
He's been watching his schooling video and just taking a few points.
Yeah. Love it.
Look, we're here to educate. We're here to educate, inform, and entertain. As I said that in one of our very first episodes, Ed. So pleased that we're doing the job.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot for coming on. We'll speak soon.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Ben. Thank you.
Guys, I thought that was really interesting. And, there's probably plenty of people watching this that would be skeptical about involving another person to take a cut of what's already an expensive transaction. But I think in all seriousness, Ed's kind of shown there that having someone external to look in more in depth at things and perhaps spot a bit of value can be really crucial. We were talking before about on the face of it, Wolf Walker's form not being great, but Ed's just put me straight away there that actually he's realised he just doesn't get 3 miles, and he's come over here and pretty shrewdly put him in a 2-mile 4 maiden and he's bolted up.
Yeah. No, there have been plenty of what look like moderate Irish form come over and do well in English point to points, and then have even gone on and then been okay on the track as well. So I think being able to have someone to do a bit of extra research into why that form doesn't look great on paper can definitely help find some value with these Irish point-to-point winners, obviously skyrocketing from a price perspective. So, guys, Horse Heath, it was great for East Anglia to get their first meeting underway, and we've spoken to Keagan Kirkby, Sam, I believe.
Yeah, I spoke to Keagan after him winning the PPORA Novice Riders race on Imperial Esprit for Rob Varnum, a horse that's had some good form earlier in the season, and it's good to get a win on the board for him, and I spoke to him here.
Keagan Kirkby, thanks very much for joining us on Pointing Pointers, and well done at the weekend winning the PPORA conditions race for novice riders on Imperial Esprit for Robert Varnum. So a horse you won on last year. He's been ultra consistent since turning back point to pointing. Can you tell me a bit more about the win on Sunday and a bit more about him?
Thanks. Imperial Esprit, he's been very consistent. We've been unfortunate this season to run into time leader at Badbury Rings. Obviously, he was 5th at Aintree in the Fox Hunters. And then Shantou Flyer and Mythbuster, obviously, both very good horses as well. Not the easiest ride in the world. He's quite keen. His jumping can be a little bit suspect, but on the whole, he's fairly good. We were very confident going into the weekend. it felt like a good opportunity, and the race wasn't ideal because we didn't go much for a gallop on tacky ground. It wasn't horrific, but it was enough to make everyone else go sensible. He travelled through the race like the best horse, double handful kind of everywhere, and when I asked him to go and put the race to bed, he did it very cosily. He's definitely got a bright future pointing and possibly hunter chasing as well.
Yeah, that's great. He definitely came into the race with the form in the book, so it's good that he could go get the job done. What about a bit more about yourself, Keagan? What's your background? How did you get into pointing? And what's your kind of day job during the week? What do you get up to? And have we got any rides coming up that we should be looking out for?
So I work full-time for champion trainer Paul Nicholls. I'm very lucky to have a very good job here. Growing up, none of my family were ever involved with racing, but both my grandparents loved watching the race, and I always enjoyed watching the race and always wanted to be a jockey growing up. It wasn't easy. I was actually a young carer for my mum the whole time. It's kind of made me who I am, if I'm honest. Then obviously went to racing school after school, ended up working for Jeremy Scott for 3 years first, and it was kind of down there is where I started my point-to-pointing. It took a long time to get going, really. It was only last season, first winter last season, and Paul then got me on the two of Rob Varnham's at Aldington, and ended up with another spare, and obviously all went and won that day, and I've kind of kicked off from there. I might be at Hampton next weekend. I'm not 100% sure. If not, it'll be Cockleborough the weekend after that. And just keep plugging away, really.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you've had a very good grounding at Jeremy Scott's and now at Paul's as well. So, good luck for the rest of the season. You've advertised your talents well last weekend, and I'm sure you'll have a lot more success this season. Thanks. Bye-bye.
So, other things of note, I noticed that a horse that Izzy Marshall, I guess just before Christmas, mentioned, Cooler Park, which was very much expected to win, got beaten there. So I'd imagine they'll be scratching their heads slightly. Is there anything else that anyone's noticed from Horse Heath that would be worth mentioning?
You say scratching heads. He's only ran 4 times since they've had him in 2.5 years. He's obviously also had a lot of problems. The time was 6 minutes 27. It was the fastest time of the day. Anna Roach, Iskadar, Pecos beat him with Hugh Edwards. I'd say it was probably quite a competitive race. And keeping him in one piece, he's probably going to go on and win some races this season, to be honest. I'd say they're probably delighted with that. The Tom Ellis got turned over as well, fairly famous, by Ragnar Lodbrok of Jones, who actually won a PPORA Novice Award last year. A horse that's won his last 5. It's owned by actually Gerald Bailey's actually in the partnership of him. Jenny Owen, obviously training now, partner of James Owen, who took a flying start under rules. They've got a few horses to go out, I'm sure.
So something notable from the Christmas period, I thought, was that there was 4 horses that had been trained to win their British point-to-points that have gone to win under rules. So we've got Cherie Dame, trained originally by John Dawson and now trained by the Skeltons. Classic Concord, which is stayed with the braces, but won 4 now. Levida Advida, originally trained by Comley and who was subsequently sold to Ruth Jefferson, and Pedley Wood, who's been a real servant to the Tizzards, winning 4 already, I believe, who was originally trained by Tom and Gina. So it's slowly but surely beginning to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's nice to be able to keep an eye on it all. To be honest, it's quite a minefield when you're trying to keep an eye on all that, but. Obviously, the point-to-point keepers, when they had them, they track their horses. So there's normally something up on socials for us to keep an eye on. And no, it's nice to be able to see the horses progressing through the point-to-point field under rules.
Absolutely. Coming over the next few weeks, we've got Wadebridge. So we're going to talk about some runners and riders.
Yep. So Wadebridge, obviously, good, not a bad entry. 57. It's not the best we've seen. Obviously, only 2 meetings, but I would put this down to these courses are kind of, far ends of the country. So, they're not the easiest places to get to. But 57 entries for Wadebridge. We're going to hopefully see Singapore Saga there again, back with regular jockey Darren Andrews on. So hopefully he can keep the good run going. Max Comley, who we're going to speak to on.
Hi Sam, Happy New Year. Yes, it's a shame that Annick's been called off, but there's nothing we can do about the weather. So we head down to Weybridge on Sunday with 2 nice chances. JB Whiskey will run in the restricted. I think he's got a good chance. He won nicely at Badbury Rings and then followed up well at Annick at their last meeting. He seemed in really good form with himself. So hopefully he runs a good race. And Wagnall will run in the Open. Again, he won last time at Annick and he's in great form. Hopefully he enjoys the track. He's a bit of a quirky horse and seems to enjoy those sort of quirkier tracks. I'm sure he will. He likes going left-handed and he goes on soft ground. So fingers crossed for a good run. But no, really looking forward to Sunday.
Miles Osborne maybe taking Moratorium down there again, a horse that's obviously got 6 wins to date. Chris Barber, it sounds like he's not going to be taking his 2 there. Sounds like the ground's going to be too soft for them. What about the Newman Yard, Steph? Have you got any update for us on them?
Yeah, I think Bang on Target will go in the restricted. She should have come on from her first run there. She finished second. And Digit Ever is a horse that we bought from Doncaster, from Ireland, from Sean Doyle. That will have its first time out for us. We like her. She'll probably need to come on from the run, having had a few little issues in training. But she's ready to rock and roll, and we'll see how she gets on.
Busy day. It looks like Darren Andrews could maybe have another good ride in the maiden with Take a Bid.
Good old Nico. Another penalty kick for Nico.
He can steer a couple around, can't he?
Darren Andrews, thanks for joining us on Pointing Pointers, a late edition. Now, Annick's called us. We thought we'd best concentrate on Weybridge, and you look like no better person to speak to. The Nico Devoyne bit of point-to-pointing, steer them round, apparently. You look like you've got a good book of rides at the weekend. Can you give our listeners a update on what you'll be riding, what their chances might be?
Hi, Sam. Thanks for having me. I don't know where this Nico joke is going. I feel like Ben has blown it a little bit out of proportion there, as I don't steer favourites round week in, week out. Most of the time I get them beat. This weekend, heading into Weybridge. Looking forward to it, actually. Nice to be getting back on Singapore Saga after giving Lady Champion Gina a spin on her. So quite looking forward to that. She's in great form. I've actually been down and sat on her today at John's, and she seems in great form, so fingers crossed she can keep adding to her tally. Another one I'm quite looking forward to is Take a Bid in the last maiden. She's a mare that I've ridden a lot over the past basically the majority of her races, and she's obviously a half sister to River Myth and Fishy Story, which is 2 mares that I've also won on, and just to hopefully win on her would be sort of the icing on the cake, really. And potentially a couple others. But those are the 2 that I really fancy right now. Fingers crossed that we have a dry few days leading up to Weybridge, and it's definitely on. So, thank you very much.
Gordon's been on, off of Jumping for Fun. He's reliably informed me that there's actually been another Hunter Chase added, so it's going to be 7 now. So that is an absolutely astounding effort from our friends over at the forum there. It was 7 Hunter Chases now sponsored this coming year, so fair play to them. So Steph, I think it's only appropriate we talk to you about the PPORA members survey released today.
So we released a members survey today. We'd really appreciate it if all our members who have received the email fill it in. We are really committed to, making some progress with the PPORA and some meaningful change that means that we can actually service our members with things that they need help with when it comes to pointing. So if people could fill in the survey, then we can have some feedback and, make some changes.
Great. Sam, any other business? I think that's about it, isn't it?
I'm actually trying to do 2 things at once to try and watch the darts at the same time, but no other business, to be honest. I think we've covered quite a lot. It's been very informative for a lot of people to speak to. It's a shame we didn't manage our Christmas special, but you've been at AWOL for about 10 days. So I'm glad you're back in the scene now.
Speaking of AWOL, nice little anecdote to finish the day for you. I spoke to a good friend of mine, an ex-jockey today, Tom Strawson, sends his regards, Sam. And Tom said to me, "Oh, that mate of yours, Gitto, he's some boy, isn't he?" I said, yeah. Yeah. And he said he was out with the Quorn over Christmas, out hunting. He's on this 4-year-old, and he was just absolutely wild on it. He said he jumped absolutely everything, like, newly hung gates, rails in the middle of ditches both sides, strands of wire, the lot. Like he said, I've never seen a man cross country like it. And I said, you know who that was, don't you? Chief Hopper. He took Chief Hopper hunting. We've actually probably got a photo we can stick up on the screen now. So the Chief has been out hunting with the Quorn as a 4-year-old, jumped absolutely everything. I said, you did auction him at the end of the day, didn't you? But sadly not.
So freshen him up. It's nice when you've already put on the board.
Sweeten him up.
Hunting, yeah, well done.
Where will we see him again, Ben? Where's he coming next?
At the Brocklesby with me riding him. We're just doing parade actually. It's just me and him in the parade ring, doing a parade. So yeah, you'll see him. You'll see him there. Get your ticket.
Right, you've organised a walkover.
Yes, correct. I'm not Biddick.
That was good. That was good.
Oh dear, remember that?
Controversial.
I'm relying on Biddick's staffing situation being so desperate that he actually doesn't have time to listen to the pod and therefore can't punch me when I see him next week in London, Sam, for the Pendle Partnerships drinks thing, which would be great. So if you're not yet a member of the Pendle Partnership, check it out. In the interest of what's the word? Balance. It's fair to say that there is also lots of other partnerships that you can get involved with, not least with Kelly Morgan, who has got a racing club with a few spaces available. I see Kelly had a good maiden winner actually at the weekend. Foxy Lee, I believe, without looking. And it's great to see her back on the scoreboard. I think she's a great trainer, and it'd be a lot of fun to be part of those partnerships. I'm sure you've got something you can sell us, Steph, but that'd be nepotism, so we wouldn't dream of it. But yeah,
I think it's safer to say that racing clubs and syndicates are being advertised on the Pointing website if you are so inclined to have a look at what ownership is available. Yeah,
very balanced. She's good at this, isn't she?
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, it's not her first rodeo, is it? Actually, Kelly Morgan's that good. She nearly actually made me win a Fox Hunters, but no, I let her down. But there we go. I lost my reins.
God.
You lost your reins and then lost your bottle. It's a shame. It's a shame. And on that bombshell, we'll draw this episode to a close. Thanks a lot, Sam. Great to see you again in 2024. Steph, nice of you to turn up for once.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ben. Very kind. Nice to see you. Steph, good luck editing this.
Thank you. I think I may need it.
You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast.